back to All About That Disney Life. I am Danny B, the girl who's all about that Disney life. We now move on to Treasure Planet, which came out in 2002. So let's get to know this cast. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Jim Hawkins. Austin Majors was young Jim. Brian Murray was John Silver. David Hyde Pierce was Dr. Delbert Doppler. Emma Thompson was Captain Amelia. Martin Short was Ben. Roscoe Lee Brown was Mr. Arrow. Laurie Metcalf was Sarah Hawkins. Dan Davis was Morph. Michael Wincott was Scroop. Patrick McGoonan was Billy Bones. Peter Cullen was Captain Nathaniel Flint. Tony Jay was the narrator. Jane Carr was Mrs. Dunwitty. And Corey Burton was Anius. Now we move on to the facts all about Treasure Planet. Number 1, the development. This is a science fiction adaptation of Robert Louis Stevenson's adventure book, Treasure Island, which came out in 1883. It took roughly 4.5 years to create, but the concept for Treasure Planet was originally pitched by Ron Clements in 1985 at the Gong Show meeting, where he and John Musker also pitched The Little Mermaid. The idea was pitched again in 1989 following the release of The Little Mermaid, but the studio still expressed a lack of interest. The pitch was rejected by Michael Eisner, who knew Paramount Pictures was developing a Star Trek sequel with a Treasure Island angle. Following the release of Aladdin, the idea was pitched for a third time, but Jeffrey Katzenberg just wasn't interested in the idea. During this time, Katzenberg wanted the duo to work on A Princess of Mars, which the company was attempting to adapt. Angered at the rejection, Clements and Musker approached feature animation chairman Roy E. Disney, who backed the filmmakers and made his wishes known to Eisner, who in turn agreed that the studio should produce the movie. In 1995, their contract was renegotiated to allow them to start development on Treasure Planet when Hercules reached completion. Number 2, the production. Since Musker and Clements wanted to be able to move the camera around a lot like Steven Spielberg or James Cameron, the delay in production was beneficial since the technology had time to develop in terms of really moving the camera. Principal animation for the movie began in 2000 with about 350 crew members working on it. In 2002, Roy Conley estimated that there were around 1,027 crew members listed in the screen credits, with about 400 artists and computer artists, about 150 musicians, and another 200 technologists. According to Conley, Clements wanted to create a space world that was warm and had more life to it than you would normally think of in a science fiction movie, as opposed to the stainless steel, blue smoke coming from the bowels of heavily pipe-laden treatment of science fiction. In order to make the movie fun by creating more exciting action sequences, and because they believed that having characters wear spacesuits and helmets would take all the romance out of it, the crew created the concept of the Ethereum, an outer space filled with atmosphere, and the characters wearing 18th century clothing, much like in the original Treasure Island. Number 3, changes. Several changes were made late in production to this movie. The prologue of the movie originally featured an adult Jim Hawkins narrating the story of Captain Flint in first person, but the crew considered this to be too dark and felt that it lacked character involvement. The crew also intended for the movie to include a sequence showing Jim working on his solar surfer and interacting with an alien child, which was intended to show Jim's more sensitive side and as homage to The Catcher in the Rye. Because of the intention to begin the movie with a scene of Jim solar surfing, the sequence had to be cut. Number 4, the release. This movie had a world premiere in Paris, France on November 6, 2002. This movie had its premiere in the United States at Cinerama Dome in Hollywood on November 17, 2002. The movie is the first major studio feature to be released in regular and IMAX theaters simultaneously. This was done in the light of the success of Disney movies that were re-released in IMAX format, such as Beauty and the Beast and Fantasia 2000. Number 5, the box office. This movie would go down in history as one of the biggest animated box office bombs of all time. This movie made over $12 million on its debut weekend, ranking at 4th place behind Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Die Another Day, and Disney's Santa Claus 2. During the 5-day Thanksgiving holiday weekend, the movie made just $16.5 million worldwide. The movie ended up making $38.1 million domestically and $71.4 million internationally for a $109.5 million worldwide gross. Number 6, awards and nominations. At the RTO Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Casting for Animated Voice-Over Feature Film, but it lost to Lilo and Stitch. At the Golden Reel Awards, this movie won for Best Sound Editing in an Animated Feature. At the Young Artist Awards, Austin Majors was nominated for Best Performance in a Voiceover Role for age 10 or under, but he lost to Lilo and Stitch. At the Saturn Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Spirited Away. At the Annie Awards, this movie was nominated for Outstanding Character Animation, but it lost to Monsters, Inc. It was also nominated for Outstanding Character Design in an Animated Feature production, but it lost to Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. It was also nominated for Outstanding Directing in an Animated Feature production, but it lost to Spirited Away. It was nominated for Outstanding Effects Animation, but it lost to Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. It was nominated for Outstanding Production Design in an Animated Feature production, but it lost to Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Brian Murray and Emma Thompson were both nominated for Outstanding Voice Acting in an Animated Feature production, but they both lost to Lilo and Stitch. At the OFTA Film Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Picture, but it lost to Spirited Away. And at the Golden Schmoes, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Movie, but it lost to Ice Age. Number 7, bonus facts. This is the 4th Disney hand-drawn animated movie to not feature any musical numbers or any character singing. The first 3 were The Black Cauldron, The Rescuers Down Under, and Atlantis, The Lost Empire. The famous song of the original Treasure Island, Dead Man's Chest, is never used in this movie. This is the 3rd Disney movie to adapt the story of the book Treasure Island after Treasure Island and Muppet Treasure Island. The letters in the name of the ship, the RLS Legacy, means Robert Louis Stevenson, the author of the original Treasure Island story. Doppler at one point references Star Trek's Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy with an utterance of, "Dang it, Jim, I'm an astronomer, not a doctor." Treasure Planet is the 2nd Disney animated feature film to be released the same year as a previous Disney movie. With having Treasure Planet and Lilo and Stitch premiered in 2002, it makes the only time in a year Disney has more than a sole movie nominated to the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature, but both movies lost that award. Dr. Doppler is a combination of Dr. Livesey and Squire Trelawney from Treasure Island, and Ben's name is a reference to Treasure Island's Ben Gunn, on who he is based on. And there you have it, all the facts to Treasure Planet. If you like this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you have a zippity-doo-dah day. Goodbye.